Well, I'm very excited about this next guest that we have with us. We have Jess Belfry with us in the house. Jess is a local entrepreneur, having successfully built two businesses from the ground up after she sold Hustle and Blow in 2019. Jess focused her career on rentals and now owns and manages a storage facility and several short and long-term rentals. Here's where I know her most for. She's most recognized for her philanthropic work in the community as the chapter chair of Savannah SCORE and the creator and director of the award-winning Savannah Carnival. Jess is the recipient of the Presidential Gold Service Award, recognizing her commitment to giving back. That is who in front of us right now, ladies and gentlemen. Jess, how are you doing today?
Hi, Philip. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited about this. You've got a lot of different background that you can bring to the table, which fits right in line with what I'm addressing with this podcast. So couldn't be more excited to have you with us today.
And thank you so much for asking me to come on. I'm super excited to be here and I get so giddy talking about all things business and marketing and branding and all the things. So thank you for having me on.
So the first like a long-term exposure I had to Jess was she was delivering a presentation about personal branding and she was delivering a presentation about personal branding and she used Guinness as an example. And I was so into the presentation, some people at my table thought I was the beer guy. Then all of a sudden I became like the guy who's super into beer, but I was just really loving your story. And I am of Irish descent, so I can get on the board with some Guinness. But well, let's go from one type of food and beverage to another type of food and beverage, because at the time of the airing of this episode, it's going to be the week of Thanksgiving. So I do have to ask you, as we're getting ready, our menus ready for Thursday, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? No wrong answers.
Okay, deep fried turkey must be deep fried. You
Okay.
cannot put it in the oven. There's
Okay.
absolutely no chance. And mashed potatoes. Who can go wrong with mashed potatoes?
And those are good staples. I do like the deep fried thing because I guess everything tastes better deep
Fried,
fried.
hello.
Right. And now here's a question though, is how do you, and you don't have to give any trade secrets away, but how do you keep it from getting too dry?
I'm going to defer that to my husband. I
Oh,
literally have
okay.
no idea. I just
Okay.
buy the turkey. I think we brine it. Is that a
Oh,
thing? Right, the night before, I think we brine
yeah.
it in the fryer thing, but in salt water.
So I've watched the Food Network long enough to know in general what brining means, but I absolutely cannot brine anything. So I could tell that there's gonna be some serious cooking at y'all's house coming up.
We are actually skipping cooking this year. It's been a crazy year. So we are going to one of our favorite restaurants, Ciao,
Ooh,
and
okay.
they are doing all the cooking for us, and we will eat like fat pigs, and it'll be amazing.
Hey, I love that. Absolutely. And the service industry is ready to receive you. It's nice to see a bounce back in the service industry. So hosting you for Thanksgiving will be awesome. So last thing I noticed, and just kind of looking at your background, is I noticed in your LinkedIn profile that you are a boy mom. Right? You got two boys, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I'm a girl dad. I have two girls. You have two boys. I can't relate. So give me a like a boy mom story that some of our boy moms out there could relate to.
Okay, how old are your kids, Philip?
They're very young. I got they're like elementary school age, like 6 and 4.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you an elementary school story
Okay.
because people who know me primarily know my youngest son, who's 13. I
Okay.
also have a 21-year-old who is now moved out of the house in college. He actually graduates on December 11th. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got that coming up. But I'm going to talk about that 21-year-old because he's mad at me right now and he'll kill me for sharing this story. So this is how we roll in this house.
That's right. That's right.
Is when he was in elementary school, when he was in kindergarten,
Mm-hmm.
he was an awful, awful child. He was terrible. Like the teachers would constantly tell me, Jess, you need to medicate him. He cannot focus. And I'm like, I'm a like very hippie mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not putting my kid on medication. We'll figure something else out. And so I was always defending him to the teachers and
Mm-hmm.
saying, it's your teaching style. It's not my kid. And this
Right.
is me as a very young. I was only 24 at that age. So I was very
Mm-hmm.
young. And so I get a call from the school. He in gym class, they go to the pool
Mm-hmm.
and he came out of the pool was over. Okay, now it's time to go back into the locker room, get dressed to hop onto the bus to go back to school. So he goes into the locker room, decides to come out butt naked, and starts running around the pool, slapping his butt,
Wow.
screaming, "You can't catch me,"
Legend.
to the teacher. And mind you, the teacher she was on her way out the door anyway. She was about to retire.
Yeah.
So I get a call. I bury my pride. I walk in the school. Yes, okay, we've got a problem. What are we going to do? And the teacher retired. My son got the most yellow cards for school, pretty much all of elementary school. And it was just whatever. So what we ended up finding was that they had improv classes available, and we enrolled him in improv classes. And then he stuck with theater. He's graduating on December 11th with a major in theater.
Okay. Well,
and so it was like our workaround for, okay, don't medicate, put him into
redirect.
something else and give him something else to focus on. So it worked.
I can just imagine the teacher pulling a full-on Murtaugh moment from Lethal Weapon, saying, "I'm getting too old for this shit," kind of thing.
That's exactly
She's like,
what it
"Forget
was.
it." Yeah, exactly.
She's like, "I'm out. Peace out." We had just gotten out. It was in Wisconsin, and we had just gotten a new governor, and the governor was kind of cutting some of the teacher programs anyway. And so she was like, "Peace. This is too much."
Yep. Well, so that's an awesome story. Let's go from that crazy boy mom experience to the craziness of small business, which is crazy. Sometimes it makes other people want to just run around naked and say, "You can't catch me," because we're dealing with some unique stuff right here in November of 2021. So you bring an interesting perspective, which is once again why I wanted to have you on, because you yourself are currently an entrepreneur. You've also run other businesses in the past. You're working with B2C, and then you're also mentoring many businesses, a variety of circumstances with SCORE, for those who don't know. From where you're sitting, what's the sky level view of what small business leaders are presented with right now?
I would say a time of transition. And if you are a business owner that, tends to get a little settled and a little stuck in your ways, you're probably struggling more than those who are willing to just roll with the punches and keep moving forward.
Okay. So there's more opportunity, like you said, for someone to get derailed, someone to have more slips and falls with all the additional factors from this transition out of the COVID related stuff.
Yeah, you have if you're a retail storefront, you have supply issues,
Yes.
Not only in product, but also in staff.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that? How do you overcome that?
Right.
And I think, like the supply issue, that'll fix itself. We just bought a house, and the house that we had, we turned into a rental. So we left all of the furniture there, not thinking supply issues. So, even right now, our entire house is nearly unfurnished. We're sleeping on the floor. We have mattresses, but we're like college dorm rooms sleeping on the floor because there's just no supply. And, when you call up the companies, they're as frustrated as you are as a consumer. And there's literally nothing they can do. So, eventually it'll fix itself. I saw the ports, they just added another train line in and out. So that's helping to kind of bring some of the, container ships down and out to where they need to go.
Yes.
But it's where we're at. I think.
So I want you to put on your economic analysis hat. Is we were talking about a lot of the stuff that's the fallout from the COVID pandemic, now the COVID recession, and you mentioned supply chain. That's what's tougher, like for people like you and I. Like, we're all about the demand side, demand generation on the marketing side, but we have a huge supply side issue. The biggest things that I think this small businesses are dealing with right now are inflation, supply chain, staffing, I think those are probably the biggest three. So, and you said a lot of this stuff is just we're kind of, this is a transition issue as we're moving out of this. What stuff do you think out of those big issues that you think small businesses can say, okay, this is going to be a short-term thing, I just got to ride it out? And what are some of the other issues that you think might be a more longer term than we might be thinking?
Yeah, so I think that short-term supply issue, it's going to fix itself. I mean, I feel like February, March, we'll
Hmm.
start to see, some things. And, for holiday season, get creative.
Hmm.
Look to
Hmm.
your local shops that are makers and are
Yeah.
making things. And, it'll probably be the best Christmas giving season that we've ever had because our, dependency is truly on American made. But I think also short-term issue is the supply chain for staff.
Hmm. Yeah.
Everybody got a little taste of retired life, whether
Hmm.
you're 20 or
Yep.
you're 40 or,
Hmm.
you're 50, 55. Everybody got a little taste. And so, and some businesses are not 100% fully back up and operating. And so the need for people to get back to work isn't quite there yet,
Right.
unfortunately. But
Y-
I
y-
think the longer term issue for many businesses is once you do re-attract your tribe, maybe you lost a really great staff that hasn't come
mhm.
back yet, and now you're out recruiting.
Yep.
You have to create a great culture for which your employees can find a home that they'll
Yeah.
stay. Because
Yes.
everybody is hiring right now. Walk down Broughton, walk down Liberty, walk down Oglethorpe, Bay, anywhere in Savannah, there is now hiring, all positions, all positions.
Yep.
Employees have their pick of the litter of where they want to land. So as an
Hmm.
employer, you've got to create an environment that nurtures them, that gives them a path for growth and makes them want to come into work every single day.
Right. I think that recruitment and retention is paramount for all businesses. And unfortunately, small businesses, even mid-sized businesses, have been way behind the curve in being able to set a good culture and being able to have that attractive package to get. But it's not just the recruitment thing. Once again, it's the retention thing. One client of mine is a pizza business, and something no one would ever think of is for the vast majority of your lifetime and my lifetime, delivery drivers. That's associated with one type of kind of food business, right? Pizza delivery. Now, every single restaurant has delivery. So, guess what our pizza businesses are dealing with now? They are having to fight and claw and pull out the knives to get and keep delivery drivers. So, you're right. There's just a ton of market forces that are throwing everything out of whack and supply, mainly with staffing, which is really, really hard to address unless you have that right culture or right kind of
Yeah.
package in place.
And I feel like particularly with millennials and younger
Mm.
is it's not always about the money. It's more about the culture. And
Hmm.
when you ask, if you even look at Fortune 500 companies, when their employees leave and they do an exit strategy or an exit interview,
Hmm.
most of the time it comes back in that they weren't provided a place for growth and it
Hmm.
never comes back to income.
Yep.
They feel like they didn't love the culture, they didn't find their fit within that culture, or they weren't given an opportunity for recognition and growth for a career path. And
Right.
it has nothing to do with money.
Yeah. Which many will assume, but it's not about. There's a lot of other stuff involved with with a difference between a job and a career
Yeah.
is not the dollar, right?
Yeah.
So transitioning, like that's a good segue. The staffing thing is a kind of a macroeconomic force affecting small businesses, but also something that small businesses are dealing with inside their doors. So going to the storefront, what are some of the reoccurring challenges you see over the past 12 months as a SCORE advisor that keeps rearing its ugly head? And it's something that's very close and intimate a challenge for small businesses.
Yeah. The down and dirty word for it is cranky clients.
Okay.
The more appropriate term for it would be a more discerning client,
Right.
in that your customer just sat home for 12 months
Hmm.
and they were on their computer, whether it was forced because of Zoom and that's how they were working, or because it was out of boredom. Well, what
Hmm.
do? We go on Pinterest and start researching. Then we
Hmm.
go on to different companies and, oh, what about this? What about that? And we start to see all these different things and we have the time to research.
Hmm.
So when that client walks through the door and they're expecting this level of either service or product or whatever it is, and they think they know, you know, all the things of all the things.
Mm-hmm.
As a business owner or as an employee, you're going to have a hard time changing their mind. And
Right.
so I think that, I mean, having cranky clients is always going to be an issue, but the client today is so educated because of social media, because of, you know, literally all the information sitting right at their fingertips, whether it be the right information or not, they have information. And so that makes them a lot pickier and a lot more discerning.
So what do you see being the instinctual response of your client, small business owners who get that discerning customer, we'll call them? What do you see their impulse being and how they want to react to that situation?
I think it's anybody's natural human instinct to just be like, hold up, I don't think so. But what I would hope is that in today's business environment, those business owners will take a minute, step back, and say, okay, what really is the issue here? It's the issue that I'm not providing the service that they want. And do I want to provide that service? Or is it the issue that they're just frustrated that it's out of stock? Okay, what do I have that would be a good second best to what they're looking for? Or are they just completely 100% not your target client?
Right.
And it's okay if they're not your target client. Nobody has the most ingenious idea that there's not a copycat somewhere. And another copycat company may want that client. So send them to them. Become a good partner for your competition.
Season. I think this is very apropos to really have this episode focus on that, Christmas shopping season. Everybody's being told, hey, you need to start shopping earlier. You'd already mentioned that you think it's an opportunity in disguise because it's a really cool opportunity to buy local and to choose different types of businesses from the shopper's perspective. But what are some of the unique challenges with all these different forces coming together in the Christmas shopping season? Big time for retail, big time for small business. What are some of the things that we're going to see thrown at us as small businesses that we might have not seen in a typical Christmas holiday shopping season?
I think I'm hoping we're going to see more foot traffic. So last year, foot traffic in four-wall stores was much lower. Even the holiday market over by, it's over by Forsyth. They have a holiday market each year, and it was ghost town last year.
Yeah.
I think people are now forced to get into the stores and see what's physically there.
Yeah.
And to feel, to touch, and to have that experience. And I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, whether they're introvert or extrovert, they missed that human connection.
Yep.
And so for the shops that are open for the holiday season and trying to attract, create a great client experience, create a great shopping experience where it's easy. When you go on to Amazon, the first thing, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but on the very top, you have like suggestions for what you might like based on your browser history. So if you have analytics of your client, start digging into those now and custom create solutions for those clients so that when they walk in your door, it's just as easy as going on to Amazon and they see like, oh, this is a top pick. Oh, this would be perfect for, Aunt Betty, Sweaty Susie, whoever.
Yeah.
And create that great, easy client experience rather than them having to, oh my God, what am I going to do? Everything's out of stock.
Yeah.
Just create the solution for them. Be the need and create the need.
Right. And I can't almost, I have to laugh because wouldn't it be one of the funniest ironies if that in the COVID season, which has accelerated what was already going on with the digitization of the marketplace, e-commerce, everything has to be online, to this Christmas season, everybody, because of what's going on with supply side, are finding themselves, and I find myself doing it more and more, rather than buying stuff online because you don't know when it's going to get there because of logistics. People find themselves going in person shopping again, which some people are saying nail in the coffin. No one's going to shop in store anymore. Now you're going to find more people, probably like you say, more foot traffic, more people wanting to shop for what's in the stores, getting their hands on it, rather than just going to their smartphone app and buying all the Christmas and stuff there. That would be hilarious. And it's kind of funny how everything comes full circle. And sometimes the gloom and doom projections are a little overstated, I would say.
I would 100% say yes. That's why I live in the present. I try not to watch the news because
Yeah.
it is doom and gloom. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? Within my four walls and the people that I'm helping, there's a
Mhm.
lot of good going on. There's so much good. And from that good, there's a lot of creativity and new ideas that are coming that will attract consumers.
Right. So I like, okay, this optimist turn makes me want to go to what year is in your wheelhouse, which is okay. Let's be realists at the same time as being optimists. Is we do have unique challenges going on, especially in supply side for small businesses. We do have a lot of competition from bigger businesses. We do have issues with staffing. We do have issues with these discerning, highly informed customers who you can't trick. Like they know what they want. They know exactly how they want it, and they want it now, kind of thing. So now let's talk about operating through these chaotic waters and not being thrown off your game. So how do small businesses leaders, and I think that every business does it, big businesses have this issue too, where we kind of are reactive. We're chasing our tail. There's a lot of different noise coming to us, the cranky customer, the bad review, this is going on in the economy, this employee leaves. You have so many things that can throw you off your trail. How do you consult your clients on how to deal with those setbacks and to be able to keep their eyes on the prize?
Yeah. So I always say eye on the prize in the very far future.
Okay.
All of this little riffraff stuff in 5 years will be a culmination of who cares. So keep your eye on that 5 years. And as long as you can do that, you'll stay above all the noise that's going on down here.
Okay. Does
All,
does that does that manifest itself in a mentality, or do you just have like your dream and where this is going to be, or do you have this full on like here's your 5-year vision plan statement that stares in front of you at your desk kind
that's
of
right.
thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Post-it notes everywhere,
Okay.
written down. Here's my
Okay.
plan. Here is my, and if you're not, a long-term thinker, it's totally fine. What
Hmm.
about after the holiday season? Can you get yourself to January?
Hmm.
And what does January look like for you?
Hmm.
And write that down. And then that will keep you kind of rising above all the little riffraff, because as a business owner, if you've made it this far, as a business owner, your body and your mind intrinsically knows what it needs to do to get to
Okay.
the next level.
Okay. So you're saying there's a certain level of intuition trust that you can have as long as you've taken the time to think out where do I want to be in 12 months or where do I want to be in 5 years. Then you can kind of go with your gut because you know that you're still pointed north and
Yeah.
you know where your true north is.
And the little mundane problems like a bad review that comes in, it will become less important because
Right.
that's not the center of your universe. Your future is the center of your universe. And
Hmm.
so when you keep your eye over there, all of this stuff just simply goes away.
Right. So in our pre show notes, if I'll call it that, is you talked about getting ahead of the customer, which is it's like right in my heart because my focus so much on what I do with my business and the podcast is helping business leaders get ahead of where the market is. You don't want the market dragging you to where you need to be because then you're constantly behind. You can't lead a market if you can't see around corners and you're constantly reacting to something the customers are already bringing to you. You don't want to be the laggard. You want to be the leader. So what is a practical approach as a small business leader? You have your chosen target market, and maybe that's part of figuring this out, is how do you get ahead of the customer to where you know what they need before you get 50 anecdotes about them telling you what you need and you don't happen to be providing it?
Yeah. So feedback, feedback, feedback. I
Mhm.
always say the smartest people in the room are the most quiet and they ask the most questions.
Mhm.
And so they're always looking for feedback from their target audience. So if you can take from a marketing perspective, if you can take, your email list
Mhm.
and narrow down to the ones that you absolutely love and, are spending a good bit of money with you, or, kind of that next tier that if you gave them a little more love, that they
Mhm.
might spend more money with you, hone in on them and send them a survey
Mhm.
and simply ask for their opinion. What do you want to see? What do you think we're missing? What do you love about your shopping experience with us or your dining experience with us?
Mhm.
And get in their mindset. And then
Mhm.
once you're in their head, create solutions for them so
Mhm.
that when they come in, they didn't even know that they wanted that, But because you have the vision and now you have the knowledge of what they're looking for, you create the solution, and now they come to you because you're driving the market.
Okay, so amen to everything you said. That's a big part of what I started this business to do. But I am curious, as you're sitting in your seat as the objective consultant and you're sitting with a client who is trying to navigate through the noise and trying to get ahead of the market instead of chasing their tail. When you say, hey, do this kind of strategic analysis and then do a survey. Everybody loves the term survey. We all love taking surveys. What is some of the reaction or some of the journey to getting your clients on board with that kind of strategy?
So if they are truly your correct target market client, they will do the survey for you because they believe in you, and they know that if they answer the survey, they're going to get something in return, right? They're going to get a better experience or a different product or whatever it may be. So don't worry about focusing on the masses. No need to mass e-blast your entire email contact list. Just go to your target market and ask them, because those are the people that are going to drive your success for the future, because those are the people that you like to work with and deal with, right?
Right. Because you can't be everything to everybody.
Right.
So when your clients go through this exercise, what have you seen some of the fruit of that, that's borne out when they actually do go through with that and they do start to engage and get strategic feedback from their top customers?
I have seen where even the most successful companies who think that they have, oh yeah, I've got a target market, it even gets more specific. And then what happens is this heart happiness happens because they're not getting any bad reviews, because they're only dealing with people that they love to deal with.
Right.
And then what that also does is it creates a great culture for, your employees, your staff, and for your clients that are walking in the door. Is you've got your little bubble, and it's so targeted and like so refined.
Right.
That at the end of the day, you sleep well because revenues are up and heart happiness is up.
Right. And it's like there's like the beauty and the simplicity is that, like, hey, I stay in my lane, but guess what? I'm the fastest and best in my lane. I own this lane, and it might be a very small lane, but guess what? If you can go to bed at night knowing you're the fastest in your lane, that's wind in your sails, right?
Yeah. My husband, he also owns a company, and in his company, he sells multiple things, but he knows competitively one product is his lane, and he can blow everybody else's doors off with that one product. And so, he'll get a lead and he'll meet with the customer, and the client's like, oh, I want this, that, and that, which are not his, target. And he's like, okay, well, let me show you this. And he shows them their one thing, and they're like, yes, how did you know that I actually needed that? But it's because of his targeted marketing that he knows who his client is so well, and so drilled down to an age gap of 10 years that when he gets that client to walk through the door, or he goes to visit that client, he knows what they know before they even know it.
Right. So, I think this goes to the heart of a lot of what you talk about is being super segmented and focused strategically on a specific demographic group of people. And you said that can help you kind of filter out the noise, and can also help you overcome some of these short-term obstacles, like, what's going on in the economy and whatnot. So my last kind of question to you is, given that, I like to talk about marketing maximums. You can call marketing principles, but like, we're dealing with how we generate and then satisfy demand, even with these supply side issues. What are some of your marketing maximums for achieving this?
Oh, that's such a good question. It really goes back to analytics. So you've got to know your analytics.
Okay.
You probably always have, whether you realize it or not, you probably always have a great customer base. And then you have this next customer base that's just kind of waiting out in the wing and is your next bubble that can be your growth.
Yes.
And how do you reach them? And so that's where, surveys, understanding where that customer base is, living, breathing, eating, sleeping, looking, whatever their needs are, and starting to develop that as your next track for growth.
Right. No, I agree. And I didn't even mention something like this to you in a previous presentation is, businesses change, customers change, markets change. But how do you overcome all that? Is number one, you have your goal, you have your true north. And if you're constantly, like you said, you're the quiet person who asks the most questions and actually does the most active listening, and you're listening to the right people, not just trying to absorb and process all of the noise, because some is just noise, some is data. And then if you're on top of your analytics and your data, and analytics is not a big business word, right? Analytics is a business word in 2021. So if you're honed in on the right people, you have tight communication with the right people, and then you're always on top of your analytics. And by the way, you can do this yourself. Some people are analysts naturally, and they're going to be really good at this. Other people, they might need to find someone to do that for them. That's how you, like you said, you can wade through all these crazy waters and all the doom and gloom in the short term. But then because you know your true north and you're focused on your lane, with the right data, you can overcome all of that in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, numbers do not lie in any facet. Whether you're weighing yourself on the scale or you're looking at your pocketbook of how much cash you have on hand,
Right.
numbers do not lie. And the deeper that you can dive into that, especially with client analytics, I mean, you're golden.
Okay. So perfect. I think that's a cool way to tie a bow onto it. So you mentor businesses. So it's not just podcasts that you show up and you start dropping on this knowledge. This is part of your job at SCORE. So if you could, in closing, let the audience know how they can connect with you or how they can connect with SCORE. If they're listening to this and they're motivated, they're like, okay, I want to know better how I can find my sweet spot, or I want to know better how I can use analytics to whatever. What's the best way for them to connect with you or to connect with SCORE?
Yeah, so to connect with SCORE, you go to savannah.score.org.
Okay.
And you can hit find a mentor, and you can look at everybody's areas of expertise. So you'll see me on there. You'll see a bunch of other mentors on there. We have 45 mentors, and literally from across all different industries, all different backgrounds, all different experiences. If you even don't find it on savannah.score.org, it will lead you to our national website, which is a database of 10,000 mentors across the United States. So I can promise you, if you are having an issue or a problem that you just cannot overcome, there is somebody in the nation within this 10,000 database that has already, overcome it within their own business lifestyle or whatever, and can talk about it.
So tell me, what's this premium consulting rate that I hear that you have to pay per hour of working with SCORE?
So it's a very expensive rate of free.
Free for free?
All of it is free.
Okay. Right.
All of it is free. We are the nation's largest volunteer mentor network. So everything we do is free. We do special events and some workshops with a little bit of a charge, because we want some skin in the game to make sure you show up.
Yeah.
But SCORE is an amazing organization. It's powered by the SBA. So often we're the first to get some of the information. I know during the PPP and EIDL, we were some of the first to see what was coming down the pipeline. And so we were a huge resource to our community, and okay, set up your business for this because this is coming down the pipeline.
Right.
So it's a great resource. It's such a fun organization to be involved in. If you were listening to this podcast and you feel like, well, Jess, I kind of know and am on your level and even maybe a little bit more above your level, or I blow your doors off the water, then I want you on my team. And so, go to savannah.score.org and click on the click to become a volunteer, and you'll get in contact with me, and let's chat, and let's improve our business community. That's what we're here for. We're here to be advocates for our small business community.
Awesome. Yeah. And I could say firsthand, I have a SCORE mentor. We all need mentors. No man is an island, or lady is an island, much to the, dismay of some of us that we think we are. But SCORE is an awesome organization. And since they're free, we're without excuse. So, you can work with awesome people like Jess. She's one of the best and brightest they have. So Jess, thank you so much for giving us some good guidance on how to use that compass as we're going through this fun and crazy holiday season. Many blessings to you. And we should do this again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip, and happy Thanksgiving. And I hope to see you on the other side of the holiday season, celebrating all of your successes.
Awesome. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And thank you, Jess.
Bye.